Welcome to the longest podcast ever. I'm your host, Dean DiMarzo, aka LongestSoloEver. Join me and my co-host, Ro Panuganti, as we talk to some of the most incredible creators in nerdcore and video game music. We'll go behind the scenes of the creative process of some of your favorite artists as we talk about music, games, life, and everything in between. Welcome to the longest podcast ever. I'm here with my co-host, Ro Panuganti. I'm Dean DiMarzo, aka LongestSoloEver, and we are about a week and a half ago, we got back from MAGfest 2024, which we had a lot of fun with. Ro played an incredible set on the main stage. Absolutely amazing. And I think we're going to just kind of go through day by day, talk about our experience and all the cool stuff that happened.
Yeah, I've got to say, I've enjoyed already our podcast with two phenomenal guests as of this recording, which is great. But it's also fun to just chat with you and talk about things that I think are really interesting and or very cathartic, especially MAGfest is an emotional event.
Yes.
And before we dove into more folks, I was like, hey, what if we just decompress together? Because you probably saw a lot of things I didn't see, and it was your first time. And this is my 9th time. So we have very fun perspectives that I bet a lot of people who haven't gone at all are hopefully going to enjoy.
Yeah, I'm so glad you suggested we do this. So excited to relive this and kind of process it really.
Yes, an overview of MAGfest, especially if someone walked in, Music and Game Fest is currently a music festival that celebrates video games and video game music especially. So from someone in both of our niches, of course, this is a fantastic time to get live nerdcore, live video game music, composers, panels, but it's also very similar to cons. So if you've been to Comic-Con, like I know you have, Dean, and similar, there's a lot of love of comics and anime and nerd culture, cosplay. So it's incredibly inclusive. It's gone on for at least 15 years. If I recall, it's had a lot of changes and a lot of growth, but it's a community grown. It's literally a charity. So National Harbor, Maryland, that's where we went. Dean, if you want to to that or recount even.
Yeah, so it was at, I like Rose said, this was my first MAGfest. I'd never been before. My wife and I go to Comic-Con in New York every year. We have for the last 5, 6, 7 years.
Very cool.
And it is different in some ways. It's similar in some ways. Those are the only 2 cons I have experience with, so that's all I can really speak to. I can say New York Comic-Con feels like the center of the expo hall in MAGfest, where everyone has their merch tables set up, and that's it. It's a bunch of panels, yes, but there wasn't the just full 360 experience that MAGfest felt like. MAGfest, the second you walked in the door, it was just, you were surrounded by people in the entire hotel, literally living there for the whole weekend, who were as obsessed with video game music as you were. And that was a singular and first-time experience for me in a huge way. I've always been the only person I know, with the exception of a couple friends who remotely gave a crap about video game music, let alone, knew who Nobuo Uematsu was.
That's a really good way to kind of describe a first impression, because that was mine. And we've talked about it before, especially on our chat. I grew up basically around the classic rock, North Carolina, whatever, in 2010s. People were listening to Dave Matthews Band, and if you were kind of into nerdy music, that niche was just not appreciated as well. Yeah. And it's just a math thing. There's not going to be that many people next door at this time. So when I snuck off to MAGfest 2014, I was in college. I had met maybe 2 friends, I think, from the internet, so to speak, David Russell and J to Anonymous, who used to have a very, very big YouTube channel. Okay. So I was already getting used to oh my God, I'm meeting someone from the internet. And I grew up on all these popular internet safety websites, the Disney games. So, all this is going through me. I've gotten used to, some of this, but to meet, like you said, so many people into such a deep, specific niche. And it's not just you're going to a meetup with 15 people. You're going to, especially this year, 16,000.
16,000. Okay, I knew 10,000 last year. 16,000.
16,000 sold out event where everybody will understand why someone is so anal about the moon theme from DuckTales having a specific time signature, where people will laugh and add lyrics to One Winged Angel, and where, nothing will surprise you after you've seen costumes like someone dressed up as Mother Brain from Super Metroid on stage.
God, that was amazing. Yeah.
So yeah, that's your walk-in experience of whichever particular day. The event is Thursday through Sunday. When did you get there?
Yeah, I came in. Well, we drove down to Delaware where my wife has family. We stayed that night. And then in the morning, the last hour and a half, 2 hours into National Harbor. Got to the hotel around noon, 1, and had way too many bags because, you have to park in the parking garage. You don't want to go back out there, especially in 0-degree weather like it was. So I tried to one trip it. We did manage.
Of course. Wow.
It was terrible. And that was luggage for each of us, 2 guitars, a backpack, the neural quad cortex case.
Right.
So
2 guitars for
camp. I brought a backup just in case.
Okay, sure.
You never know.
You never know. Although I can attest, you will find someone else with a guitar somewhat close to your
True. Very true.
But okay, so.
And checked in, got to the room, rested for a minute. And then I'm so glad they had the guidebook app for MAGfest. That is something Comic-Con has kind of done on and off, but not to the level that MAGfest did. It was really nice having the schedule day by day. The map was on there too. I only realized that on the last day, which was a bummer. But
yeah, and to your point, the place where it takes place is in a hotel. I believe it's a branch of the Marriott called the Gaylord National Convention Center. I have traveled a good bit growing up. I've been really fortunate. This is the biggest freaking hotel I have
It's a city.
It's a small city.
It's enormous.
You tell people you want to meet up. You're talking 10 minutes in the building. You could spend 3 days not going outside.
Yes,
and I tried
absolutely.
To.
I did. So no, we went down the street. But yeah, it's an enormous, gorgeous atrium. 16 stories high, I think, something like
that.
And just incredible glass wall and windows along that one side. Huge just place, and it was filled with music 24/7 because you've got the Belvedere there and there's bands playing there all the time. It's incredible.
That's one of the things that I think, whatever your MAGfest experience is, if you're going as an attendee, if you're going as a performer, panelist, whatever, everyone appreciates just the beauty of this hotel before you even get into everything.
Yeah,
and
it was so nice.
You said you walked into the hotel. One of the first things you'll notice if you come in, especially Thursday or Friday, you walk into your lobby, which is already large, and to your right is the lobby bar. And obviously you can get a drink there and you can just relax and look at the town, basically the convention center. But there's music running throughout the weekend. And every single year I've gone, at some point I've stopped there, and they usually host, bar-friendly sized acts. But this year, especially, my friend Tiggs and friends, of course, I was able to listen to Split Screen, the band that I've been video editing for, their debut. There was Tumbao, I believe, which does Afro-Caribbean, Latin-inspired video game music.
So
just
awesome.
Tons of acoustic, folk, jazz, and it's so many people that you might even recognize if you're in, a common VGM or Nerdcore scene kind of server, or just go on YouTube once in a way. So that's your setting for the whole weekend.
Right. That's just in the middle of things. You just run into that walking by. That's not even out of your way.
Yeah.
And then you have the main stage. You have the jam space. You have the jam clinic, which I did not have time to stop into. And
I didn't get to either. A few people have taken clips, and everything we're talking about is hopefully trickling onto YouTube or Instagram. Yeah, and the Jam Clinic is a guided place where they'll kind of help people get used to playing with other musicians in different forms. They had one on Indian music that I missed, but they'll have one on jazz, on improv specifics. But yeah, there's all of this at your fingertips the second you walk in, and you're how do I plan this? How do I not miss?
And I had to really, really quickly accept that I was not going to be able to do even 10% of what was happening there.
Right.
I nailed down every day a couple things I needed to see. And anything else that happened, I did my best. and it was still an incredible, unforgettable experience. What did you do the first night?
Ooh, sure. So,
or you were rehearsing on Wednesday, right?
My experience is kind of funny that way. So I called it like day -5 when I picked up my buddy Colby from the airport. Colby's my guitar player, guitar 2, mathematically speaking, but he is incredible. He is still here. And basically he built a fly rig heavily inspired by his other band in Seattle, Armature, as well as Adam Neely, who did like a breakdown. And if you're not familiar with in-ear monitor rigs, it's just the equipment that allows...
I have a story about that.
Oh, yeah, good. It's the equipment that a musician and bands need in order to listen to their own metronome or click tracks, to listen to each other inside the headphones so that they can, play along to the music in a balance that suits them. And because we had a horrible experience before where our very last minute setup broke the previous MAGfest and our click tracks were actually delayed. So we were off time.
Terrifying.
So yeah, we ripped it off, and Colby basically dedicated months to refining and building this, and it all worked perfectly, of course. But we wanted to test it even sooner. So about 5 days before MAGfest even started, we started rehearsing here in Raleigh, and we made sure all that worked. I finished up a lot of 3D visuals that I was working on with Nate Horseball, and
so good.
By the time we got it all together, thank you. Wednesday comes along. I actually rented a van, which I've never done. You have to be 25 to do that in America. Right? It's a weird new experience. So we got this Chrysler Pacifica that I fell in love with, by the way, as a sedan driver.
Awesome.
And yeah, we piled up 4 boxes of merch. The rig, which was what they call a fly rig. It's all...
I was going to say, I'd love to define that term for people. Yeah. Oh, there you go.
That.
Yeah. It's a self-contained rig that you can fly with, that can be ready to go, drop in, right? All contained.
Exactly. And he flew in from Seattle all the way here with that. We used my Fractal FM3. It
nice. Yeah, I saw that on stage. Very nice.
Pretty much an Axe effects on the floor. And if you're not familiar with that, it's like having a guitar amp that's all digital, but you can click the buttons with your toes. Yeah,
a guitar amp and pedals and cabinet and entire recording studio. Every effect you could imagine.
Obviously, incredible. Both Dean and I have our own respective setups. So depending on the songs, you can tweak stuff. Anyway, we brought that. And because Christian, who is a phenomenal guitar player, Christian Richardson, I've known him since he followed my channel when he was very young. Killer musician. And he did not have a floor pedal. This was his first gig, basically. So I truly think MAGfest ruined shows for him, because
that's a great first gig though. You can't beat that.
But my first gig by most measures was also MAGfest main stage.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, he got my Axe FX3. We wheeled that into the van, brought all that, and drove just straight 4 hours, 2 trombones for Allison, tons of room for snacks because we got the van.
Oh, yes.
And yeah, we had to make 3 trips.
Whoa. Back and forth from Raleigh to oh my god!
Sorry, no. Sorry, from the parking garage.
Okay.
No, see, I'm not driving 4 hours. I would
have gotten a bigger van, man.
No, I would have just shipped it.
Yes.
So yeah, we parked and had to move a lot of gear basically to the hotel room so that we could rehearse in there.
Oh wow! Yeah.
One thing that you probably know, of course, but our listeners don't, is MAGfest has so many acts on so many different stages that you don't have rehearsal times.
Yeah.
You can't rehearse whenever you want. We had to find one spot and really nail it. So we practiced in the hotel room Wednesday night itself and kind of got a few things together, but we would actually have time Thursday. So the rest of Wednesday was dedicated to basically getting all 11 people in my band to America, safely.
Yeah. I mean, Rahul came from India. That's insane.
Rahul came from India. He stayed in Chicago with family and then flew in. He made it. Christian and Bryn flew in from Vancouver and Saskatchewan, Canada. Wow. And they got in around 11:30, which was great. I was exhausted by then.
I'm sure.
Right. Bao, our keyboardist, is also from Raleigh.
He was amazing.
But he drove with some friends. Yeah, amazing player. Jazz background. That was his first metal gig. Hopefully not his last. Well, it's definitely not his last because he's coming to VGM Con.
Yes.
And yeah, slowly, Jehan, she flew in from Switzerland.
Yes.
She got stuck and lost her flight. So yeah, she didn't get in Wednesday. So yeah, pretty much just like that whole day was me telling our music liaison Kent, like, who's here, who's not here. And again, you're in the lobby, as you know, you bump into someone you've seen on the internet once.
Yes.
So yeah, I unloaded like merch and just talked to people 90% of the day.
That's awesome.
That was my day zero.
To detour from like the actual MAGfest breakdown, I
Yes.
want to know how you prepared 11 people remotely. Well, 10 people. Man. You live with one of them. But
yeah.
What did you send them? Was it like full tabs of the entire show? And what kind of practice tracks did you provide? What does this look like prep-wise?
Sure. So as I've mentioned ad nauseum to all of my friends, including you, like this has been a show I wanted to do for so long that mentally I'd already prepared in my mind a few aspects, nice. Broad songs or franchise I want to cover. So from the moment I got the email kind of planning, I basically designated different aspects of the show to different parts of the group. And one distinct factor that I'm really taking a lot of pride in is I didn't want my band to be a group of like internet strangers who are all really good at playing their thing. Mm-hmm. As amazing as that is, and it's very common and it's totally fine. But I find that rock and roll and all of the bands that I've enjoyed, the chemistry, the fun of playing with each other was most important. So I knew essential. I would, like Colby was the first person I texted after, finding the news. And then I wanted Christian, who's, again, he's followed me for so long. He's very good at playing it and he's volunteered. If you ever, get the gig, I'd want it. So I kind of made my short list very quickly of 3 guitars, which would be plenty, and then recruited Bao after I went to our local jazz jams. Turns out he knows Colby. So like no one's total strangers. Yeah, small world. He met him at MAGfest.
Nice. Oh, wow. That's amazing.
And like, yeah, I developed, we have keys. We have the Dream Theater config. The year before we played with Anthony Kraft and
Dream
we had
Theater with 3 guitarists, yes.
Yeah, it's Dream Theater and Periphery.
Yeah, there you go.
Basically. So it's the
That's
keyboard.
Perfect. You can't ask for better than that.
And from there, of course, I knew I wanted Allison on stage again, and I wouldn't want her to just be solo tromboning if we can bring on
you had Eric.
Like more.
And who was
Mariah.
The trombonist from Mariah?
So I've known Eric for years. Wonderful friend of mine, and he comes from jazz background, and I knew he's playing at MAGfest, especially and I knew that he would be able to adapt well. So Allison, of course, would be in charge of arranging brass for whatever songs. Mariah is from a band called Raspberry Pi.
Yes.
They are disco funk inspired kind of nerdcore. Lovely band. She is such a delight live.
It's great.
Yeah, and I was like, look, if I'm coming from, Whitesnake, Van Halen, like these people who they don't care like how silly and light they can take this music, I knew that would be like the right element.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we could bring in ska, we could bring in symphonic rock. So that was the band enlisting. Now, you mentioned how to convey like the parts. Yeah. So I picked songs that are largely like features for one person in particular or otherwise showcased a significant aspect. So Game Raga Medley, being one of the only like Indian inspired kind of arrangers, I knew that would be a showstopper. I had planned up until like 2 months before the show actually to play sitar.
Wow.
40-minute set. It was not going to be enough time to set up and tune and bring that.
Is it acoustic? You don't have...
The pickup's pretty garbage for the ones I have. And like in the snow, it would get out of tune.
Oh,
and it
God.
has 17
strings. About the weather. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so arranging that would be harder. Then Mag Prime, I knew I needed to do something from Metroid. Ridley was kind of my first choice since it's a staple of mine on stream.
So good.
And it would be like a circular reference. But then I realized we could do whatever we want live. So I was like, let's mash up Panic Attack. Just... Rahul's favorite band and one of mine, of course, Dream Theater.
Yes, that was so cool.
Nods to that. Ganondorf is because of Ocarina of Time, and we're a prog band, so I thought it would be fun to have a obnoxiously hard as shit kind of song to put in. So 2316 Time. Then Sanctuary was because I knew Jehan was coming to MAGfest, and we'd worked together before. So again, everyone got like a feature. Seymour's theme is kind of like a keyboard heavy feature as well. Anthony sang for What I'm Made Of, which was super fun. And I just, I'll play bass. You
that
rock
was so
out.
Cool. That was so cool.
And then, of course, Break Free, Lead the Way was a 2018 cover with my friend Bryn from Saskatchewan, who's also a lovely musician and game dev. So it was always our dream between Christian, myself, and Bryn to play that live. And I was like, oh my God, we have the keys to, to the car here.
That was so great. The whole set was incredible.
Yeah, Pokey was borrowed from Game Brass heavily, actually. I need to actually remember to credit that even more. So Wayne Strange and myself and Game Brass arranged the Earthbound finale, and we even had like a sentimental moment at the end of that arrangement where we had people like send in little prayers because in the Super Nintendo game Earthbound, that's actually your final gambit. You're like,
against
you don't know what to do.
Yes.
Like, and the world prays. And I was like, okay, what if we did that? Made it slightly agnostic and broad, so more people send in like well wishes, and that was
awesome. I am so sorry I didn't send anything for that. I was in full panic mode for my
dude. I mean, again, I don't think
every
we
time
even
I
knew
saw it, I was like, I need to do that.
But yeah, and In the Blood, Alice and I have like 300 hours collectively in Hades.
Oh, that was so beautiful.
It's a little bit of a romantic sort of song too, and I was like, you know what, screw it. Like, she's the reason I got main stage just as much as anyone else there. And yeah, but to teach people, I didn't tab anything. I have never tabbed any cover ever. No. You don't understand. I made them tab it because I'm a bad person.
No. That's okay. I don't mind that because did you provide like isolated tracks? So
I gave everyone stems or isolated tracks, as he said, is better phrasing. So Rahul learned off of listening and the tracks, and he arranged it. Bao got isolated tracks, a lot of notes and like chord names at most.
Cool.
And MIDI, of course, of like my SketchUps. The guitarists both got a video of me playing through their parts that I had written out slow enough, and then like like on those old like guitarist DVDs where they're like figure one,
yes,
and then Ingwe is just like I would go over each riff again. I would explain a little bit of like the chords or the theory behind the scale in case that helps. And Colby, of course, being the god he is, and Christian both tabbed their parts, and they would check it over sometimes. Christian knew Break Free from Mario Odyssey since he arranged it for. So yeah, like everyone kind of worked around my, this is a skill I do not have, and I wanted to not have to spend that time.
No, and I think that's fine because everyone is going to interpret the part physically on their instrument in their own way, especially with guitar. Like for those who don't play guitar, there are 5 or 6 ways to play any given note, depending on the note. And so the way my hand is comfortable playing a line and the way your hand is, the way picking wise it works out, it's going to feel really different. And so working from transcription by ear and a little by sight is like the most flexible way to approach that. I think that's fine.
Yeah, it's something
and you trust
that
your musicians. That's a big part.
Yeah, I think that's also a really good like aspect of it. Yeah, I can't do everything, and nor should I. And the end result is going to be more colored by your band if you kind of give them the leeway.
Yeah, it becomes an actual collaborative process. That's it.
Right. And, the way I see it also is like, if I were a guitarist for a band, and I have been, if I'm given a little bit of free agency, I feel like I have something to do each week leading up to the show. I don't slack off too much, and I also contribute to the quality. So Colby would be like, hey, could I do the lead on this for Seymour? And I was like, dude, yes. The show is like,
nice. Yeah.
I truly think you have to balance your ego when you have a giant ass like initials projected behind you because,
yes.
If I'm the RP, they need to be the prog experience. And, with Allison, I basically talked to her about some of my ideas broadly for trombone. And then I was just like, look, when you need to breathe, what trombones can do. And she has a whole panel on, how underrated they can be.
I'm going to watch that later. Yes.
Yeah, it's a stand-up routine with education.
That's perfect.
But yeah, so she came up with all the licks, the fills, and then the dance moves on the fly and stuff. So it's a really interesting division of labor. And then, of course, as we've already alluded to, I spent 60 to 70% of my time after making like these setlist demos, basically, and all the click tracks for us to like play to. I spent all that on visuals, the things behind us, what I think branding wise will set the tone of your show, which again, you played on main stage as well. So, just as much people are there to listen, but also to kind of watch and engage.
Yeah. It's a very visual experience, much more so than like a lot of concerts I've been to. The screen situation behind you is incredible. It's one giant projector screen and then these little like stripes off to the side.
Yeah, that was new.
Yeah, do those just like copy the edge pixels or something?
That was my guess. So I snuck in, again, getting back to our day one, I snuck by the main stage when they were setting it up, and I like peeked my eyes, and I believe his name is Dan, in charge of video, is setting up the center screen, which has the primary visual, and it has this year stripes on the side in a very sci-fi fashion.
So cool.
But then there's two screens dedicated to the cameras that are in the front of the stage. So if you can't see the guitarist's face, that's where you look. And this year was something unique that I learned working with Nate Horsfall, who's like VGM live visual legend, who was kind enough to work with myself, Super Madness, Metroid Metal, of course, and Dom Palambi's Game Night.
Yes.
So they can overlay like a screen effect, your visuals into the camera and kind of crossfade you inside like whatever you make.
Yeah, it was so cool.
6 months of labor for Metroid Metal, and then you go see their show and they've got like all these laser beams coming at people, like sparks. And for us, we kind of played around. So I made like 5, I think, of my own videos with a ton of feedback, and then Nate would build a bunch, with assets that I would shoot. And again, like he had this great discussion that I think you'd also enjoy, like, what is your show about, like, from, the feelings point of view? Are you serious with a little bit of jokes, which is how he described, like, maybe Metroid Metal? Mm-hmm. Are you more, like, sincere about the music and, kind of light and fun, like Dom Palambi's Game Night? And I told him, I'm like 50% jokes, man. I want to make people laugh, and then I want to make people dance and headbang. So, it's a very interesting stage to allow that, compared to normal concerts where it's mostly about the music and there's some fanfare.
Yeah, but it makes sense. Like we're playing music from video games, which is such a visual medium. It felt a lot more interactive in that way, and it was really cool.
Getting to day one, what did you do after that? Such a me conversation.
No, it's okay. I wanted to know all that. I was checking in. I left my wife, Tori, with all the bags right at the where the escalator is coming down from floor 2, where the panels are.
Yes.
She was on like that overpass there, the glass wall there. So she had like 2 guitars, 50 bags. And I went down to go get our keys. And as I'm in line, Family Jules texts me and was like, hey, what are you doing Saturday at 5:30? You want to jump on a panel? So.
Oh, that's how late to the game.
That's how late to the game.
I didn't even know the panel happened, let alone.
I wasn't even sure it was going to happen because I was like, should I like tweet this out, announce it or anything? He's like, no, just wait till like the day of. We'll talk about it. I'm like, okay.
There's Jules for you.
And that was a blast, and we'll get to that. But I got back to the room, got settled. I was also at this time putting together the like Ableton Live set for the playback on Cam Steady's set. So I played guitar on Cam Steady's main stage set on Saturday. I was also running playback on his set, which means that I was in charge of starting and stopping the backing tracks and anything else computer-wise that went on. That became much more stressful on Saturday when we found out some things on the main stage. So, but that night we walked around, got to know the Gaylord a little. We walked downstairs to get our badges. And as we were walking through, kind of on our way to the halls, there was just a group of musicians just chilling in that I guess it's a jam pod there, like right outside Hall E, the expo. There's like one speaker there.
Hall E okay, yeah. There's a jam pod, which is just they tape off these sections that can fit like 7 people, maybe tops.
There were like 20 in there.
Of course, no. The more the merrier. And then you're allowed to play for a given time, so a lot of people will play like an impromptu set with acoustic instruments or a little PA. And
it was just a little horn band. It seemed very like just like a bunch of people came and sat down together. And as we walked in, they were just playing like a New Orleans, like second line style jazz rendition of Super Mario Brothers 2 Overworld. Just and it was just so good. It was just amazing. It was such a nice welcome to MAGfest. I just immediately I said to my wife, like, this is why we came here. This is it.
Yeah.
This is it. This is amazing.
The informality is something again, like you said, with Comic-Con, and I've been to GalaxyCon, which has like a million locations, and it's not even a disparaging thing. It's a contrast that those are really dedicated to putting fans of very large works in proximity of the people behind them, get autographs, photos. Fest is built from the ground up and run by like the same people who attend it.
Yes.
So,
you can really tell just how like excited everyone is about it. So we got our badges, went back to the room, I think grabbed some food at the, we checked out the little marketplace thing there.
Oh, yeah.
That was good.
Bottom floor, right? I'd never been there.
Really?
Actually. Yeah, in 9 years. And now I went there every morning.
Fine.
Yeah, good. I got coffee. There's a Starbucks built in. There's booze if you need to pick some up.
So that was good. And then I met up with Cam at the Jam Space. I keep getting them confused.
Sure.
Jam Clinic and all. The Jam Space, it's kind of the little like nightclub feeling place.
I guess
down at the end of the halls where there was a Nerdcore. It was Twill's Nerdcore Takeover, Twill's Turn Up.
That's right. This is a brand new thing, but for this year to have 3 different shows, Nerdcore night and like a kind of midway rock, and then metal night on Saturday.
Yes, so cool. And so I saw the rapper who was going to be joining Cam and I on stage, Mir Blackwell. He put on an amazing set, and then went over to main stage and watched Descendants of Erdrick with Amanda Lepre. Amazing set. Killed
They're
it.
Such sweet people and so good.
And they, like, I've said this, I think I even said this to her on Twitter, but like they played their Super Mario RPG medley early on. And just the experience of hearing the first few notes of Beware the Forest Mushrooms and hearing like 1,000 people erupt in cheers is not something I could ever conceptualize experiencing anywhere else.
Oh my God.
It was amazing. And they just killed it. And I'm trying to think of who else.
It's like when the Killers play Mr. Brightside and you see the crowd erupt. Like, yes, shrink it a little, but my God, like the love and the excitement when you play a banger from the game world.
It was
people are
huge.
Just like,
it was huge. And then Tournament Arc later that night was insane. It was Tournament Arc is Everyone Ever is in that band.
It's a large band, but like under Mason Lieberman's direction, there's like a lot of actual composers on their brand new album, which I couldn't stay up for Tournament Arc. I was old manning that night, but I watched every clip I could. Laura and Trevia doing Snake Eater.
That was incredible. Casey Lee Williams doing Live and Learn. And I'm sorry I missed the male vocalist's name, but he came out and he and Casey sang Setting Sail Coming Home from Bastion. On the record, it's, I believe, Darren returning for Darren Korb. Darren Korb sings it on the record.
But Casey Lee Williams, who played at the Sonic Symphony, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, she played Sonic Symphony like 2 nights later.
Right, yeah.
So
DC.
Hearing Live and Learn live with an amazing band was amazing. And then to hear one of my favorite songs from Darren Korb, and then you playing one of my favorite songs from him like 2 nights later was also awesome. Or the next night.
Wow.
So that was cool.
End to the first day, because this is an 11:30 p.m. show, if I recall.
Yeah, it was a late night. And then I very much went to sleep. Friday was pretty quiet day, other than I met Lacey. I met everyone on Friday.
I was gonna say, like, when it comes to meeting YouTubers and stuff, it's like, especially if you just stand still, like
it just happens.
Yeah, it'll just happen.
I went to go see Lacey and Lucas, Third Koopa, put on a panel on arranging with Shota Nakama from Sonic Symphony.
Yes. I believe it was Shota, Tony Dickinson. Oh, man. I'm forgetting someone else that might have tagged in there.
Oh, Player 2, I think?
Yeah, AJ.
Yes, and they were all amazing. So many, like, great insights on arranging songs. But I finally got to meet and talk to Lacey in person, not on a podcast. And
oh my gosh, you're meeting collaborators.
We've collaborated 3 times and I've never met her face to face. So that was a blast. And as I was talking to her, like Rich Audiobee just wandered up and we hung out for a bit. And then Rahul showed up and I got to know him. We sat and watched the panel together. And Shota Nakama told me I need to practice more. So that was good.
Oh my God.
I had
inspiring
asked him,
words.
Yeah. He had said, he had made an interesting point about arranging for a live orchestra, a live band, stuff like Green Hill Zone, anything from the classic games, easy, fine, no problem. Something like Undefeatable, anything from Sonic Frontiers, where this is modern produced gent, basically.
Yeah.
That is hard to pull off live. And he briefly mentioned that, and they opened it up for questions. I was like, do you have any, like, can you expand on that?
Yeah.
concept of like how you approach arranging something so studio focused, something not really intended for a live band. And he's like, oh, you just got to practice your ass off. We ran Undefeatable 20 times yesterday, and then we ran it 20 more times today.
My follow-up is like, how do you keep loving that song after?
And the answer is it's a really freaking good song.
Yeah, that's also fair.
But yeah, absolutely. So that was a blast. And then I caught so many amazing shows in a row. I had rehearsal with Cam, which
of course you
kept me out of most of Lacey's set, which I'm so disappointed about. But I caught the end of her set, which was awesome. I saw your entire incredible set, Family Jewels and Toxic Eternity. Video game Shred Venture was. Yeah. Did you see that? You were probably prepping for.
My experience was
you were backstage, right?
Yeah, I was basically backstage trying not to have any sort of anxiety.
Oh, because I did that Saturday. Yes. So
yeah, you're familiar with it.
So yeah, Video Game Shred Venture was a blast.
Very unique like show presentation.
Yeah, it was a theatrical experience. There were video sketches in between songs, and it made me think so much about what I will do when I get a stage set of any kind. Like it was so.
If anything, I think they had a tour of this Video Game Shred Venture, and of course nothing comes to North Carolina, fair enough. Oh. But I learned like they got a few buddies who are like voice actors and stuff to kind of buffer in, and it really kind of helps you go from, hey, I want to see this show because they might play like Sonic, to, oh my god, no, I'm gonna like see jokes, I'm gonna see like each song kind of fulfill a purpose. And that was also something that loosely I've wanted to try and do more with like themes, although I could never do all Metroid and stuff when Metroid Metal is playing.
That is tough. It's tough competition.
So for Friday, of course, besides like the trying not to throw up and like calm myself and drinking a lot of tea, and like legitimately this was the freakiest, outiest I'd ever been. Okay. I was not nervous on my wedding day because I knew how it was going to go. I was terrified. Just again, it could be tech issue. It could just be like me. So I lost my voice from Thursday talking to people too a little.
I imagine the fact that it was like 0% humidity in Maryland had something to do with it too.
It was a dry MAGfest.
It was bad. Every single singer I knew had one of those like Vicks mist things.
Yes,
inhalers.
I think either Carrie and or Lacey suggested immediately. It was just like, check this out.
Yeah, I had one on my face anytime I wasn't outside my hotel room.
I probably should have done that, but yeah, I was like,
it didn't help, so don't worry.
I was like, all right, I got to eat like vegetarian or something light and comfy, nothing sluggish. Mm-hmm. Burgers are for after. We ran through our set once more, I think, in the hotel. In-ears were perfect. So that was all fine, and I was just killing time. Then I was in the hotel room. Everyone is like aware your call time is 7:00. And again, for some people, they've never had a call time. For me, this is like my third time. So I was listening to Split Screen from the, patio, since we were very fortunate to be at the Gaylord and had like a room that overlooks the entire hotel. So I was listening to my friends at Split Screen, and they killed it. Debut virtual band, and it was just incredible. Awesome. And then on my phone, I'm like watching Lacey crush it.
Wow.
And I'm getting hyped up. As you digest, I think you realize, okay, this is a show, like everyone's having fun, rock and roll time, like it's getting more acclimated to my body. And then by the time she was just about wrapped up, I carry all of my stuff down, try not to forget anything, and I'm backstage during VG Shred Venture. So we get to the green room where they have like just some snacks. I met Emily, who was working with all the performers, and was just delighting me with a lot of really good prog references and stuff, while I'm like, okay, it's fine. We're good. And of course, I can't undersell the emotional weight that I had unnecessarily put on this show. So we get everyone from like warming up voices and stuff. I didn't actually get to warm up as much, like at all, basically, maybe a little earlier. I give like my quick rousing speech to everyone who was in the room at the time. I think Allie was somewhere else. And I'm like, all right, everybody, like prog experience. I'm sure my actual speech has been filmed somewhere else. But we go up, and then it's like setup time. I see Jack and Jules. I hadn't seen them all weekend. And, we also go way back, first MAGfest, basically. Wow. So get your hugs in, and I'm like, all right, you guys killed it. I'm excited. And set up. We're, plugging in wires. Stage techs are moving fast. Basically, there's just not enough time in the show for everyone to get a
there's
proper,
no time.
like, yeah, there's no time to get a tech test, which is unfortunately why we really had to depend on our in-ears because we're not used to like the wedge sound. And again, like we're talking right now, the concerts on my YouTube channel at MAGfest, it's mixed. It sounds amazing now, but in the moment you barely, like I could barely tell what anything sounded like. I'm like, are you comfy, Rahul? Bow, anything you need? They have water bottles.
Hear the click track. We're good.
Yeah.
That's it.
Can everyone hear and we show off a little bit of the visuals, and finally I look out like properly. Did I hear start? And the guy's like, oh yeah. Nice. And I'm like, and I saw you actually. I think I spotted you and Alan especially in the crowd, and I'm like, okay. Like
I was right up front with Lucas and Cade Kalka.
Yeah. Y'all are all over the video in the front row. And yeah, like from there, we just have no time to think. You're just like, all right, hit the button, and Rahul starts the click. We play through Game Raga. Everything sounds good enough. And most importantly, I can kind of tell the crowd's moving around and like enjoying it. So I know like there's not some heinous, awful thing.
No, everyone loved it. Everyone was so into the whole set. It was great.
We were, and like I couldn't hear the audience call back sometimes. You know, like how if you play a stream show, you're just like staring at text. And
you're staring at a camera lens. Poggies. Yeah. If the text is moving fast, you're doing a good job.
I like that. And that, like the show kind of just went exactly as it could have, given everything. My buddy Peter Gillette's in the front, filming me with his camera. So if I get nervous of playing in front of what I'm finding out is over 1,000 people, I'm just like, no, it's just my buddy Pete. Like we've hung out, we filmed videos together. I'm used to him. And, then we introduce guests slowly and they're all having fun. We get big hugs. And yeah, then during like Break Free, Lead the Way, that's sixth or seventh song in our set, we introduce the trombone player. So Allison gets to come out, which is fun. And I realized very early on, if you have a long ass cable and most of the other band members are kind of like stationary, I could run around and like goof off.
Yes.
So like during a break with Allie, she was telling me I ran up to her and I'm just like, dancing. I'm playing like simple rhythm parts. And then I run back to backup sing and she missed her mark because I think a few. And
that's good though. You're having fun. That's what matters.
Yeah. I got most of my speeches in, credits in, threw guitar picks out into the audience, which was fun. And then I go back inside.
Not before carefully asking, like, is it okay if I throw these? Look out if you don't want to catch these.
I genuinely did not. I didn't want to hurt anyone, and I certainly didn't want to break any rules. So I'm like,
it was good. It was good.
I'm a PG-13 brand.
Yes.
I can't fight it. But the last part of the night that's most important, of course, is I walked back into the green room once we all moved our stuff because Bit Brigade started right after. And the entire band and Allison and Emily and some more MAG staff and my buddy Nate Gould, who's also MAG staff. They're all just standing in the room. Almost everyone got their stuff out, and we just had like this big applause, which was super kind. And then so nice. I got swaddled with a group hug from the band. And again, like I think everyone understood what this show meant to me, of course, but like also to each other. First time at MAGfest and performing maybe in America for like Jahan. Anthony's first time on the main stage, getting to play bass and sing. Colby's gone to MAGfest a year more than I have. So like, the appreciation of that stage and this one particular inaugural show, all in that moment. And then I had so much adrenaline. I tried to go to sleep, but our obnoxious neighbors, they partied until 3:30 with like a vuvuzela or something. If you're out there, I would like a kind apology, but I understand it's MAGfest. So that's Friday for us. And of course, we haven't gotten to talk about your main stage fun.
Yeah. So Saturday, I finished putting together the Ableton Live session that morning.
Yes.
Got everything together, got over there, loaded it onto Cam's computer because we were running it off his MacBook.
Right.
So for context, Cam had this awesome music director out on the West Coast put this together. He arranged all the songs. He put in some like connective tissue transitional elements between songs, some little original grooves in between those things that we played, and arranged this into 5 separate stems to go to the main board.
Sure.
Click, bass, like drums, like 808 stuff, any synths and backing guitars, backing vocals. That's great. Get that all loaded in. We get out there, we get to the green room, sound tech comes out, and he's like, hey, do you guys have any backing tracks or anything?
Right.
And we're freaking out. We're like, yeah, we sent it all on the rider, and like, We have
right.
10 tracks coming in because it's like 5 stereo stems. And he's like, oh, all I got was this. And he shows a piece of paper with like one line of notepad text on it that says like, we have backing tracks or something.
Oh no, that's your stage plot?
Yes.
Oh no.
And I know I saw what we sent and it was
right.
comprehensive. So I don't know what happened along the lines, but that's what he got. So he's like, I don't know. I think I can get you one track. So I mixed the entire show as we were setting up.
Like you got the stems and you had to mix them again?
I got the stems, had to do a mix down on stage as they're sound checking. We were able to send 2 tracks and a click track. So I sent left, right, and click. And so that was panic moment number 1.
Right, like pre-leveled backing tracks.
Yes. Panic moment number 2, he's like, and you guys, did you guys bring an in-ear rig or anything? And Cam brought a bunch of wireless in-ear transmitters. I brought my Shure in-ear setup.
Okay.
And he's like, oh, usually folks bring like a rig, like you were saying, like a fly rig,
right?
Where everything's just like
very unorthodox, expensive rig,
but the right thing for the job. And what we had was like just a bunch of random assorted crap.
Yeah.
And
oh no.
And so we hand it all over to them. Mine isn't working because I'm an idiot and didn't put the antenna on it, which is great. And so Cam hands me his in-ear transmitter. Yep, those.
I got you.
Cam hands me his transmitter. I plug my in-ears into that. He manages to grab another one in time, so he has ears. We thought he wasn't going to for a moment.
Right.
And we end up starting about 10 minutes overtime, which sucks.
Okay. Sure.
And the entire time you're setting up, there's this clock in front of the stage staring at you, counting down, and then it hits 0.
We started like 4 minutes over and went over 4 minutes.
That's good.
But oh my god.
Yeah, it just keeps counting into the negatives when you go over it. It's so bright red. It just feels very bad. So that happens. And yeah, then we start playing and the show went by all accounts wonderfully. Like we got through the whole thing. No problem. And yeah, it was a blast. I got to play my songs on stage for the first time. I was going to
say, we got to
yeah, Cam was so nice to let me do that. The way this all came about, Cam had been thinking about having a live band at some point, maybe for MAGfest. I had just gotten like no luck with MAGfest.
Sure.
Or I'd heard back from MomoCon. I got rejected by everybody this year. It happens.
Really?
And it's because I don't have onstage experience. It's because I'm
right.
Here.
It's a very, very different thing. Like people have to understand, you have such a beautiful, brilliantly large following online, but there's
it's completely not applicable. Like in terms of,
and vice versa. Like there's people who are super popular on, in the live circuit, and they may not have any Spotify following.
And by all means, they are justified to not trust me on a stage because it's such a different thing functionally.
Yeah, this guy, like, I heard you mix on stage like before the show.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a great selling point. So,
but sure, yeah. So Cam,
I had tweeted out basically, how do you get booked at these things when they all want on-stage experience? And I can't get on-stage experience without being booked at things. And Cam DM'd me and was like, hey, they just need to see you on a stage somewhere. So come play guitar for me and I'll let you do 2 of your songs in the middle. And that was like the most amazing thing. And so I played.
And it's true. A lot of people get their start by joining in with another group. God knows I only had live experience because I played with Geminon and Mariachi twice on MAG.
Yeah.
So, and like, by all means, getting your own songs played was, first of all, you did so well, especially as your first time playing those on a stage for thousands of people. And your songs
in the driest weather of all time.
Driest weather ever, having to like do guitar and sing and adapt your songs for live.
And that's what I was going to say is I am kicking myself for writing these songs the way I did. In the studio, you can take 2 bars at a time and then cut and take another 2 bars at a time. And you don't have to breathe in between those bars. But on stage, you should probably breathe. It's a good practice. So there were points where I had to like drop a line to the backing tracks for them to fill in, especially on like the Gojo rap I did. That was just a marathon of words. And then like, it sucks, but the dry weather, I lost like my entire high range. I lost like an octave off of that.
And you either someone writes about it or you'd never know until you tried that.
Yeah.
And in the blood, I had to, thank God it's all falsetto, but I couldn't sing the harmonies that Ali and I had practiced weeks and weeks.
but you still sounded great. I mean, you make it work. I flipped down to like some lower harmony or something.
Yeah. I just falsettoed.
Yeah, and it works. But yeah, it's a whole different beast. But it was a blast. It was so much fun to play, and I got to do Overthrown and Brink of Eternity, which I dropped that morning, which was fun. And
now you're getting the MAGfest like interconnectivity of like in-person people to online.
Yes.
I think at least 3 or 4 other people timed a release with MAGfest being there. Torment Arc, of course, dropped their album maybe 2 weeks before.
And you dropped an album too.
I dropped an album. I only had the physicals at MAGfest, literally just to prioritize it, and that was the one that sold the most.
Nice. That's awesome.
Thank you, everyone. By the way, you paid for the van.
That's fantastic. Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's your MAGfest live debut, too.
It was so cool. And it was so, I mean, it's the first time I've ever met anyone who knew my songs before I met them. And that was like Lucas Gamarez said, told me that he asked what I was playing. I was like, oh, I'm playing Overthrown. He's like, oh, that's my favorite song of yours. I'm like, I can't believe someone's saying this to me right now. Like, that's so cool. And, then afterward, hopped on a panel with Jules and Jack. And as I was walking up there, this other guy comes up to me. And I didn't recognize him because he wasn't wearing glasses and he had a mask on.
Oh, yeah.
He's got long black hair. And he's like, oh, they dragged you into this too? And I'm like, yeah. Hi.
Of course, that's the first thing he says.
I'm Dean. And he's like, what's up? I'm V. And I'm like, and it like the wheels turn in my head. And I'm like, little V. And then he puts on the sunglasses, takes off the mask, and goes, and I'm like, oh yeah.
I didn't know that he would actually be coming to MAGfest as is.
I didn't either until I was walking onto that panel.
I couldn't make the panel, but I talked to someone about the panel because they were so excited about it. How'd it go?
It was so much fun. I mean, it was, we were talking about YouTube for musicians and like how to approach it. And it was so much fun, to be on that panel with all those guys who I've looked up to since forever. I mean, Family Jewels has been the video game guitar guy forever. Toxic. I remember being like, I remember thinking of Toxic as like my main competition early on when I was when I did not have a healthy approach to YouTube, when I did not have
Jules
mindset.
Was essentially mine. And I was just like, all right, he's doing like A7X stuff. I'm going to do like the prog stuff.
Yes.
There'll be only 2 guitars to worry about.
Yeah, exactly. and obviously now I love Jack and all his Toxic Eternity. He's amazing. And so to be up there with them and Lil V Mills, who has transcended so many different things on his channel. I mean, VGM and original songs and all kinds of...
My hero for so many different aspects, costume.
The video production is incredible.
Yeah.
He's brilliant. So having the 4 of us up there talking about all our different approaches to YouTube was so much fun. And seeing in the audience everyone I knew. Like it was just it was just crazy to look out there and see, like, I think Lucas was there, Alan from Game Grooves was there, Katie Scary. Like it was so cool just to know, I don't know, just being in that place with all those people who I think are so cool was awesome.
It's such a homegrown, again, like when you look out in the audience, and I have to remember, and we talked about this before Mag, you have to remember how scary it is to do something as simple as talk into a microphone when no one's there.
Yes.
Then 10. But when the front row is literally the people that you've been talking to for so long, who just are hanging out and supporting you, like it can't be that bad.
Yeah,
like,
no, it was fantastic. And that was a blast. Later, I was on another panel that night with... the RPG. Yeah, we were writing an RPG theme live, writing a JRPG battle theme live. It, despite a lot of technical difficulties, went pretty well. We got a finished song by the end of it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And it gave me a lot of ideas for panels I want to do next year. I know what panels I'm going to apply for next year.
Sure.
And I have ideas about performances I'm going to apply for.
Yeah. No, I'm all about next year being dedicated to watching you and so many friends get main. I'm hoping I'll see about panels or.
Well, if I get main, you're going to be up there with me.
That's true. You've obligated me, and I am more than happy to do the grind.
Yes.
And
I'll tell you what I have in mind because I have a few ideas. Yeah. I loved doing the RPG battle theme live. I think I would do like one of my streams, basically just writing and producing a whole song live from scratch.
I love that
with the audience.
That would actually be really fun.
That would be fun.
Shout out
something maybe video production focused. I don't know. You should do that.
So I guess I can play. Of course, there's another con. It's smaller, lovely.
BGM
called BGM
Con. Right?
Yes, and my band is performing there. Similar people, a little smaller, and I am not 100% sure if I'm on a panel yet, but last time I did a panel on the basics of video, like making your own music video, with Pete Gillette, who's a filmographer. He had COVID, so he phoned in. I'm hoping that we'll try to do one again, but I'd love to kind of make it more of a forum because we got lovely questions, and I'm sure, again, since you've influenced me so much in this show to do so much in Blender and like a lot of comedy, that I think it would be really interesting to have like practical film, experience mixed with like digital and getting used to like doing animated music videos, like all that discussion.
It's all, they're all
so
such
valuable.
important elements of everything. So yeah, that would be so cool. And then I have stage ideas that I think would be fun, but I'll tell you those later. I don't want to spoil them.
I was going to say, oh man. Yeah. I want to see Gentbot make it.
Oh my God. I forget about him all the time. Feel bad. Don't let him hear that.
It's okay.
So yeah, that was Saturday. And that was a very, very late night. That panel was at like 11:30.
That was one of the only, because I actually really wanted to be a part of that. And I was like, I can't commit to basically anything knowing that.
Understandable. And that's so like
old. I woke up at 7 to 8 a.m. every single day at MAG.
Yeah, same.
It was
you like everyone is there with the understanding of like, it's okay if you miss my thing. There are so many things going on here. We are all so tired. It's okay.
It's so impersonal. Like if you can't make something, no one and MAGfest does such a good job at filming and trying their best with volunteers again to get everything.
Yes.
So like right now when this podcast episode, you type in MAGfest 2024, you can go watch the Cam Study show. You can watch my show. You can watch all these panels we're talking about. You can go listen to 1 hour of ambient MAGfest, like sound.
Just people walking through the Gaylord. That's amazing.
It was the sound of the Gaylord at like 8 p.m.
That's
and you
amazing.
can hear a few, there's like an inside joke of a big roar people do because of an old arcade machine. Whoa! And you'll hear it now and then bounce back. There's a whole controversy or it's wonderful. Gone up and down. But yeah, it's just lovely that, if you can't go even, again, you can experience like all these shows. Just put it up on your TV for like a week.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole thing's on Twitch and it was so well done. The whole broadcast was beautiful. They put it in every hotel room too, which is so cool.
Yeah. You can go to like MAG TV basically and just leave it on and you'll watch performances. I did catch a few panels. Nice. Obviously Allison's on, how Zelda and other games get trombones wrong, which was very fun. And the opening ceremonies that was put together by all trombone players with her as well. I saw the VGM in early education panel that was done by Brookford and Flutiful or Becca Michelson. And we basically were kindergartners in that classroom, but we played all these music games that teach you how to get very like important music skills from an early age, including like improvisation, listening skills, like pitch detection, all video game related.
That's wonderful.
And we got up, we danced, like it was very cute.
That's so cool.
It was one of the few panels I got to catch before massive nerve striking. But yeah, the panels are underrated. The best part of MAGfest, I think, if not for all the music and the Nandos and whatnot.
I mean everything's incredible. It was a really, really wonderful experience. I am 1,000% hooked and will be going back every year for sure. And I want to make other ones. Like I can't make VGM Con this year. I want to go to NPC, I think. But
I think that one's in Raleigh, if I'm mistaken.
It is. Yeah. So I'll have to say hi.
I tried to reach out 100 times to that group and be like, yo, like, can I be involved? Like, what's up? But yeah, if you're here and we're still here, oh my gosh.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I also, I guess it's good to mention MAGfest is the primary location. It's the largest. There is MAG Stock for Maryland locals, which is more of a camping feel, as I'm told. And there is MAG West in San Jose, in August. I will be applying to perform there and planning to go.
Oh, nice.
We'll see how that goes, but San Jose is lovely. I don't know what theme it is. Again, MAGfest had a video game theme, and this one's inspired by Metroid Prime.
Yes.
So, MAG West could be inspired by something else. It could be Sonic the Hedgehog. It could be... I think they already had one because it was called Gotta Go West. But and last time I think was Stardew or Animal Crossing or something.
Nice.
But yeah, these are great. There's more... Too Many Games is a thing. There's anime kind of adjacent game shows. So if you're able to, if it's accessible, by all means, I recommend going to, a VGM or VGCon like this.
Yeah, it was a really awesome experience. It was so nice to finally meet you and everyone else there.
Yeah, we met.
Yes, finally. We took a picture. I'll put it in the video at this point.
Yeah, there you go.
It was a blast. Cool.
Yeah, I'm like, I think that's every aspect of MAGfest I could possibly talk or get out of you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I could talk for days about the...
Okay. Last thing I should absolutely ask. This is obvious. Did you meet any fans or people who...
Yes.
That you did not know, but knew you?
Yes, there was an incredible group of fans who had all gotten together on the Discord and came together.
Oh.
So thank you to Norby and James and Deftrep and Food and Radiant Riptide for coming out. That was incredible to meet fans for the first time in my life. I signed things, which was crazy. And
probably got to get used to that, man.
Yeah. After the panel, someone came up to me and said, and asked me to sign their autograph book because they said I was the reason they started making music, which was like insane to hear from a person in front of me. And I'm
so happy you got that experience.
So that was truly, really amazing. That was unforgettable. It was very good.
Yeah, it's one of the aspects I don't think anyone could prepare for. But I mean, hey, you played on main stage and you've impacted people, and you don't always get that until you're face to face at these kind of fests.
Right. It's true. You can see like the text on a screen. It's amazing to read these messages from people, but we're humans. We respond so differently to a real person in front of you saying those things. It's
likewise.
So nice.
I mean, I have to thank after the show, a lot of people are able to opt into a meet and greet.
I came to that. It was so cool.
Yeah, that was actually the first chance I got to finally see you. And like, it's like in the SpongeBob episode with the Pretty Patties where Mr. Krabs is like, I never had a line before. And there's a line like to talk to us. And I'm like, thank you. Oh my God.
So cool.
And a lot of people picked up CDs that I got to sign, which was really sweet. I couldn't believe, like, again, I saw some people wearing our new shirt that Pokey Roast Project designed, which was also, again, amazing. And a few people caught my Dream Theater references, not all of them. But yeah, and just like to hear people who had been enjoying my works on YouTube for 5 years or one person said they knew me when I went by Swiggles, which is a long time ago.
That's
kind
a deep
of thing.
cut.
Yeah, I snuck it into the visuals in the back. There's a lot of like Little Ro videos in my visuals. But yeah, the interfacing is one of the reasons why it's so great to perform at these cons too. So yeah, it's a surreal moment. And after the show, just hearing people, saying that we did a good job was like very reassuring after putting so much like stress and pressure on. Is this going to go well? Is this not going to go well? So again, huge shout outs, not just to MAGfest for running this, but like the people who go to it and came out to watch Dean and me. It's really, really cool.
Yes, it was such an amazing experience. I'm so thankful for all of it. And I can't wait for next year. Yeah,
absolutely.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining me, Ro. Thank you all for listening. We will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.